Hey, are you wondering what are the 5 worst things about living in Scottsdale are?
There's some bad things?
There are indeed. Well, stay tuned to find out. Well, hey guys, welcome back.
We get a lot of calls, messages from people thinking of moving to the Phoenix area, and we absolutely love it. And we would love to be able to chat with you too. So, what we need you to do though is give us a call, send us a message, a text, DM, however you want to reach out to us. We are here for you, and we want to be able to answer all your questions.
All right, hey guys, welcome back, and thanks again for tuning in here. We're here to talk all about the 5 worst things about living in the Scottsdale area. So going on to our first thing on the list, and these are in no particular order, is our summer temps. And they do kind of stink. They are quite hot. Although most areas around the country and around the world, your summer temperatures are going to be kind of a headache for you no matter where you live. Here in the valley, our summer temperatures being 100 to 110 degrees or so. It's quite warm out there, but at least it's
a dry heat.
Yep.
But the dry heat is like opening the oven and sticking your head in.
Exactly.
It's still hot.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's still going to be brutal for you during summer, and if you aren't used to it at all, when you first come here, it'll be an awakening for you. I know a lot of people say that the humid temperatures and 90 degrees and 90% humidity is some of the worst stuff, but they're all bad, just different levels and different feelings. So we always recommend that if you're thinking of coming out here, come out over for a week or something during the summer. That way you can experience that heat firsthand. There's nothing like, as a kid or something like that, it being so hot, you want to crack an egg on the sidewalk and just see if it cooks,
Yeah. A lot of people, when they do live in the Phoenix area, they maybe have a summer cabin. So they're at least able to get out of the heat for a long weekend or a week or two here at a time. So you don't have to drive very far if you live in the Phoenix area to get out of the heat. It's maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours north, and you're into the cool pines of either Payson or Flagstaff or the Rim Country. So there's a lot of places that people can go to get out of the heat. If you want to get to the beach, we can, drive 5.5 hours or so, and you can get over to San Diego. So there's a lot of opportunities if you really can't stand the heat. You still like the winter temperatures here. We got you covered, and we can help you with that.
Next up on the list here is winter tourists. Now, we do love our winter tourists, but oh geez, they can be a big headache. I've been driving down some of the major roads here, Scottsdale Road or Shea, which are 3 lanes each way. To some of these winter tourists, they don't know where they're going, driving 15 miles an hour on a 50-mile-an-hour road, making a left-hand turn from the far right lane, cutting across everybody. I had a couple people sometimes stop in the middle lane at a green light on these major roads with 50-mile-an-hour speed limits to open up a map on their steering wheel to figure out where they're going. And oh my goodness, it gives me a headache when all I'm trying to do is go about my day, either go to work, come back from it, go into a meeting or something like that, and just want these guys to please get out of the way. Let us locals get where we need to go.
Yeah, so while it is a pain, and sometimes it can be a little bit annoying if you're trying to get someplace quickly, we really, yes, they're a pain, but we do love our winter tourists because tourism brings in a lot of money to the city of Scottsdale.
Oh, absolutely.
But you do have to be aware that in the wintertime, there's going to be a lot of people here. So you're probably going to have to make reservations if you're going to go out to eat during the summertime. During the wintertime. Either that or just go really early.
Yeah, so our peak season for tourists is usually between November and March, or really the peak seasons. And during those times, you can definitely tell because traffic goes up, wait times and stuff at restaurants go way up. If you want to get in any decent place, instead of just being able to walk in like you can other times of the year, you got to make a reservation. Cost of everything goes through the roof for at least recreational activities such as golf. Prices will more than triple during those months when all of our visitors are coming down. And it makes it tough sometimes, but we still do love them. They do bring in a lot of good revenue and stuff for the city, but oh gosh, a lot of times when you're just trying to go
Well,
about your
it's
day.
just one of those things. You just have to be prepared for it. And as long as you are and understanding and have a little bit of patience, you can get through it too, just like we do. Another of the worst things about Scottsdale is some of the wildlife. So we do have snakes. We have rattlesnakes. We have scorpions. We have coyotes.
We have mountain lions.
Mountain lions. We have javelina. So if those are kind of scary to you, you just need to be aware of them. Most often you're going to find these things if you're living on kind of the far, areas of the valley where you're maybe next to some open desert area. If you're living right in the middle of the city of Phoenix, you're probably not going to encounter these things very often. But if you're out in, say, far North Phoenix or North Scottsdale or like East Mesa, some of those areas that are built right next to open desert areas, those are some things that you're going to want to have to be aware of.
Which is why it makes the list for our worst things about Scottsdale. Is a lot of Scottsdale is on the periphery of the valley. North Scottsdale is relatively sparsely populated with larger lots and natural desert landscaping, and not a whole lot of built-up areas around it. Basically, the entire eastern side of Scottsdale will be backing either right to the desert or right up to the mountains, and that's where these wildlife creatures call their natural habitat, and so you're going to be in close proximity to them and then going to have to deal with them sometimes. But for the most part, they leave you alone as long as you leave them alone. There are some things like with scorpions, for instance, if you are on one of the outskirts or like next to one of these large desert areas, as long as you do some prevention techniques with your home, such as making sure none of their food or other insects get inside your home with normal preventative measures, you'll be just fine and you won't have to deal with them at all or anything. Although if you are out walking someplace, you might see the odd scorpion here, like in the desert, or you might see a tarantula. Rattlesnakes, they're really not a big deal as long as you don't mess with them. They will warn you well before you see them with their classic rattle on their tail. As long as you don't go and try to poke them or mess with them, they just want to be left alone. Like most of the wildlife, they're usually more afraid of you than you are of them.
Yeah, and if you're concerned about any of these things, just reach out to us. We have, people that we've worked with over the years that can help you make sure that your home stays safe and you don't get surprised by any of these critters.
So next up on our list of the worst things is the fact that you need a car if you're living here in Scottsdale. Our public transport does exist, but it's not the best. We do have the Metro bus and some other public transport systems, but those are really only going to designated pickup and drop off areas along the major routes. So if you're going someplace specific, or if you live outside of like the heart of Scottsdale on any of the periphery or anything like that, there's not going to be really any public transport for you. So if you want to get around anywhere, you need a car. Especially since Scottsdale is so big. It's over 20 miles long and over 5 miles wide, so getting anywhere within Scottsdale itself or the greater metro area, it's a distance to go. So
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the websites when you're looking at homes, it has something called a walk score. And a walk score is I can't remember which direction it is, but how close is it to be able to walk to like restaurants or grocery stores and things like that. And for most of the communities in Scottsdale, I would say the walk score is pretty low. So that means that you do need a car to get to the grocery store and, shopping and restaurants and things like that.
although if you are looking for one of the communities in Scottsdale with a high walk score, so you can just pop out and walk to the nearest grocery store or walk to some restaurants or some coffee and everything around you like that, there are still communities like that in Scottsdale. Just reach out to us. We'd be happy to help you find those.
Got you covered on those.
But for the most part, as Barbara said, you do need a car if you really want to get anywhere. You can get by with Uber and stuff like that if you don't often go too many places, but we are pretty car dependent here.
So the last one on our list for today is some of the labels that people have attributed to people that live in Scottsdale. So I have heard the term Snotsdale, and Scottsdale is one of the more affluent communities within the Phoenix metro area. So a lot of people that don't live in Scottsdale do attribute that tag to people. Sometimes it's justified, by some of the people that do live in the community, but I'd say for the most part, people here are as nice and friendly as any other community within the Phoenix metro area.
Yep, definitely. I mean, as always, some of those nicknames, we got Snobsdale, Snotsdale. They do fit sometimes. We do have some high-end shopping. Most of the high-end shopping in the valley is going to be within Scottsdale, either in Old Town by Fashion Square or up by Scottsdale Quarter. But for the most part, everyone here is just really a normal person. But living here, getting called some of those names, or just the general preconceived labels that they give you just for living in an area, it's not the best sometimes, but what are you going to do? Another thing that attributes with that, as Barbara said, is just the price, because a lot of the homes and everything here are quite pricey, and there's not much you can do about it. It's just a very desirable area, and supply and demand. If there's a lot of demand for it and fixed supply, prices are going to go up. So that covers our top 5 worst things about living here in Scottsdale. If you have any of those things that you thought were really bad, or just some of the ones that we didn't cover here,
or maybe there's something that you heard about that you are curious, feel free to reach out to us, or pop it in the comments below.
Yep, and as always, if you did like this video, please leave a like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It's free and helps us out a lot. Lets us make even more content for you guys. And then, if you haven't already, grab that bell icon, click it, and that way you get notified of all future content. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see ya.